Right. Okay. So today we'll understand how we can organize the test cases into the classes. Right. So yesterday we have just understood how to create the test cases and then how do we execute the test cases. Right. So along with how to install the PyTest and all. Then okay. So let's see. Yesterday we have created the test cases like this. You see, like we have directly created the test cases, nothing but the functions, right? So in Python, they're normally functions, but since we are using PyTest and they considered as a test cases now. Okay, we have written them directly inside the py file, nothing but the module file, right? Okay, and we can also define the test cases inside the classes, right? So this way, and we say class, then okay, you say my class. I just write some class name here, my class, and then you can write the test cases. If and it'll say test. Okay. And I will say my test one, something I'm just creating. And I'll say I'm in my test one. Okay. And also you see like, okay, diff test my test two. I'm just giving some random name here. And okay, so going forward, we will follow appropriate naming conventions. Okay, so I'm in my test two. And okay, so this way, then you can create more and more test cases, right? So inside the class. So you can define a case inside the class like this. But when you have written these, functions inside the class, you see that there is no run button given for, the test cases, right? So for none of the test case, we have got the run button. That means that PyTest is not recognized them as test cases. Why? Because I have given the name as a test, right? So I have started the test case name as a test for every test case. Yesterday we discussed that, okay, so every function that started with the name test, right? So then considered as a test case. But here it is not recognizing. Why? Because, okay, so since, we have created the functions inside the class, right? First, the PyTest has to recognize the class as the container of the test cases. How it can, okay, so recognize, then start the name of the class as a test. Start the name of the class as a, with the test. Okay. Now, remember, so it is case sensitive, and you must have to give the test, whereas T in uppercase letter. Okay. So now you can see, and you got the run button for the class directly, and at the same time, for every test case inside the class, you got the run button, which means that okay, so you can run this class, right? So you can run the class, or you can run individual test case. When you run the class, then it will execute all the test cases inside the class. Okay. Now, what makes difference, by creating the functions directly inside the py file and writing the test cases inside the class, right? Okay, now let's consider. Okay, so probably I hope you already know what is meant by class in Python, right? But if you are not aware of what is meant by class, then okay, so we can discuss about the class in Python for Selenium tutorial further. Okay, so I will provide the link a later part. Okay, so now, provide the link of that particular video. So, where we have discussed about classes in Python. Okay, so now let's understand what is the difference between, okay, so creating the functions inside the py file directly, nothing but the module file, and creating inside the classes. Now, okay, so to understand that, let's take an example of an application. Now consider this is a sample bank application that, we have here. Now I already logged into this application. Now consider you are testing this application, whereas this application contains different functional areas. Like one functional area is, whereas, okay, so you will have to test opening a new account, right? So when you are opening an account, where you get in open account, you get different test cases. Like, okay, so create a checkings account, create a savings account, or create an, with a minimum balance, create without a minimum balance, right? So there will be a lot of test cases you get under new account. Then you also have transfer funds. In transfer funds, again, you get a lot of test cases. Transfer more than available balance, transfer more than a transaction limit, transfer more than day limit, transfer less than available balance, right? So transfer, at the valid amount, transfer from one account to another account, or transfer to the same account. Like there are a lot of test cases you get under transfer funds. And even bill pay also, probably you will get more test cases. And for updating the contact info, like you have different functional areas here, and then each functional area contain multiple test cases, right? Now consider you're just using one py file here, and you're not using any classes. Now let me just create a new py file. I'll say parabank thesis. Then consider, okay, so I just write all the, I'm not using any classes. I'm just, okay, so using only, I'm writing the functions directly inside the py file. Now go with the one by one test case here. I'll start writing the test case. First, let me write open new account. Okay, so then I'll say diff test, then open savings account. Okay, so I just said like open savings account. Then print, okay, so open savings account. Then I'll say another test case here is open checkings account. Right, so I'll say open checkings account. Let the warnings be like that. Okay. Right, so I have written more number of test cases, and these test cases now belongs to different functional areas like opening account and transfer funds and bill payments, like that. Okay, so that means, okay, so in every application it will be the same, right? So we will have a different functional areas. Now let's consider Amazon. So in Amazon, like, okay, so we have a huge amount of functionalities. So some test cases related to product search, some test cases related to cart, some test cases related to product filters, some test cases related to profile, some test cases related to configuring products. Like, there are different functional areas. Now, if you write all the test cases together in same py file directly like this without classes and all, right? Now you say like, okay, so let me run this file now, and you can see all test cases are directly executing, right? So all test cases are directly executing. Now, okay, so I don't want to run all the test cases. I just want to run only fund transfer ticket, test cases, or I want to run the test cases only only for bill payment, or I want to run the test cases only for opening account, so like that. Okay, so I want to run the test cases related to one particular functional area, right? So in this case, if you write the functions as a standalone nothing but without classes. So if you write the functions like this, then it will be very difficult for us to differentiate the test cases, like which test case belong to what functionality, which test case belong to which requirement, right? So like that. So yeah, such cases, if you want to differentiate, if you want to segregate or group the test cases based on the functional area, and you want to run later part, if you want to run the test cases belong to one particular functional area or selected functional areas, then these classes will help you, right? So then how can we do that? So it is very simple. Now, okay, so what you do first, okay, you just create a class. And remember, class name must have to start with the test, as I told earlier. So class name must be starting with the test. Okay, test. Then I will say open account. This is the class. Then put the functions inside the class. And okay, so when you are creating functions or methods inside the class, remember for every function, it is mandatory to give self argument. So it is, you must have to give an argument called self. Okay, so what is this self and all? Then we will discuss in other video. We'll discuss in other class where we discuss about creating classes and objects. Okay, then class, then it'll say test funds transfer. Right, so funds transfer. Create a class, and then okay, so put this under the class. So I'm just giving it data and all this. Okay, so it should come with one tab space and give as a self keyword. Sorry, argument. Give as a self argument. Okay, yeah. So this has been done. Now, okay, so we have got a build. Yeah. So now you see that okay, so I have created 3 classes for each functional area. I have created a class, and then I have defined the test cases inside each class, right? Okay, so funds transfer has got some test cases, and open account has got some test cases, and pay bills has got some test cases. Now, okay, so let me run this now. Right, so let me just run this. I want to run only funds transfer. If I run this file, I'm selecting current file here, and I'm running the entire py file, and you can see all the test cases have been executed again, right? So there are 9 test cases have been executed. But okay, so if I want to run only funds transfer now, see what I do? I'll just click on a run button, which is next to the class, right? Funds transfer. I'll just run this now, and you can see only 5 test cases have been executed. So what are those 5 test cases? You can see all are funds transfer, right? So all are funds transfer. Okay. So if you run the pay bills, and you can see only 2 test cases. Now, can you see like, okay, so we are able to run the test cases belong to a particular functional area, nothing but particular requirement only, right? Same thing if you want to run through the command prompt, and you can do like this. Okay, so you can say PyTest in the terminal. Okay, so you can just write as a PyTest, and then give the path of your, I'm already in project folder. So inside the project folder, and it is in a directory called test cases. So test cases slash, and I'll say parabank thesis.py, and then give double colon and give the class name test pay bills. Okay, so I'm just giving as -s, that's for logging purpose, and just enter. And you can see 2 test cases have been executed. And okay, so if you give other like test, then open account, right? So then you can see, yeah. So it opened as I'm in open savings account. I'm in right, opening a checkings account like this. So you can see that only the test cases belong to open account have been executed. So like this, okay. So you can write the functions as a standalone, or you can write the functions inside the class. Okay, so it is always recommended to use the classes, because in classes, when you use classes, you can easily organize your test cases. So we can organize the test cases, by functional area wise, or requirement wise, or module wise, like whatever you want, and easy for us to execute particular the test cases related to particular requirement, test cases related to particular functional area. Right. So okay, so this is how we can organize the test cases.